Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. 21st of Ramadan is the day when the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the son-in-law of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Lion of Allah, the first young man to embrace Islam, the one about whom Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that he loves Allah and His Messenger, and Allah and His Messenger love him too. Sayyidina Imam Ali karamallahu wajh, he was martyred. There are so many narrations about the fazail, about the station and the status of Sayyidina Imam Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anh, that it will take hours upon hours to just read those narrations, not even to go into explanation of those narrations. Today, we will just very briefly touch upon one of the incidents that took place during the life of Imam Ali karamallahu wajh. He was a fierce warrior, but he was also legendary in terms of his knowledge. These are the two characteristics that manifest in Sayyidina Imam Ali karamallahu wajh. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was legendary in his shuja', in his bravery. And the Prophet ﷺ was obviously divinely inspired and had the most knowledge than anyone could fathom. And these two characteristics were also manifest in Sayyidina Imam Ali karamallahu wajh during the Battle of Trenches. The Battle of Trenches was when Muslims were facing around 10,000 men who were not just the people of Makkah, but also the tribes from the surrounding area, had all come together to wipe out the Muslims, to crush Muslims in Medina Munawwara. And the Prophet ﷺ asked for advice of his companions, and Imam Salman Farsi radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he came up with this suggestion that we should dig up a trench on one of the entrances to Medina. The remainder three entrances to Medina were surrounded by mountains, but one of the entrances was open, was flat, and therefore a trench was dug. This trench was about 30 feet wide and 22 feet deep, and as a result none of the enemies were able to cross this trench, because every time they tried from this side, the Muslims would throw arrows, and as a result they will just they will die in the trench rather than be able to cross the trench. But one of the legendary warriors of Arabia, Amr bin Abdul Wadud, he managed to cross the trench from one of the narrow areas, and he was a legendary warrior. Some say that he had fought in 100 battles, and therefore very experienced. And as he came to the Muslim side, there was a shock wave on the Muslim side, and he challenged the Muslims. He said, "Come on and have a duel with me. Who would dare fight me?" And when he challenged, none of the Muslims stood up except Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh. He was at that time around 21 years old, a young man. And also in terms of his body, he was strong, but he looked weak. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked and told Sayyidina Ali to sit down. He said, do you not know this is Amr bin Abdul, the legendary warrior? And therefore the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was expecting someone else to stand up and go and have a fight with him, but no one else did. The second time, Amr called out. He said, "Oh, you claim to love to go to paradise. Come and fight with me. I'll send you off to paradise that you so much love." But no one else stood up. Again, Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh, he stood up, and the Prophet said, "Sit down." The third time, when he was challenged, and when the Muslims were challenged, Sayyidina Imam Ali karamallahu wajh stood up. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, allow me to go and fight him." him. It doesn't matter that I'm young, but I'm strong in terms of my faith. The Prophet ﷺ sent Ali radiallahu anhu with prayers, and then the narrations say that actually both of them were fierce, both of them were fast, and they would swing and they would go in circles that people from distance could not see what was happening. There would be so much dust kicking around, so much dust around that they couldn't see what was going on. And then eventually the Muslims heard shout Allahu Akbar, and they knew that something had happened. And then suddenly Imam Ali karamallahu wajh came out of that circle of dust, and he had actually sent Amr out of this war. In other words, he had killed Amr, the legendary warrior of Arabia, with his sword. And so this was his bravery. He was known for his bravery, for his knowledge, for his wisdom, for his piety, for his righteousness, for his abandoning the world. This is Imam Ali karamallahu wajh. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the love of Ahlul Bayt, and also raises us amongst the company, and it gives us the company of Ahlul Bayt on the day of judgment, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.